Welcome to the Randy Karraker Show featuring Brooke Grimsley on Sports Hub STL, presented by DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Oh, that was a good one. That was a good one.
Cardinals have the day off after a 1-5 road trip. Blues have the day off after starting their road trip 0-2. It seems like people in St. Louis just are not having good trips these days, Brooke.
No, maybe we shouldn't go on road trips anymore. Is that your takeaway from this currently right now?
My total takeaway, yeah.
Yeah, just stay away from the road if you're a St. Louis team because you do not fare well on there. Yeah, 1-5 for the Cardinals on the road trip. After a really good start to the season, we talked about that. Obviously, a great start to the season when you were able to beat the Twins. And then things have just kind of fallen off since then, Randy. It felt like yesterday was kind of the encompassing game of that, where there was just a lot that went wrong. Pitching-wise, great, though.
Eric Fetty, 6 no-hit innings.
Fettuccine looked great out there.
Do you keep him in after 88 pitches, or do you take him out with a no-hitter?
I didn't hate it, but I do understand that there was a lot of people who were upset about it. I think that you have to make sure that you keep these guys healthy.
Right.
So that was my biggest thing. If you want to trade him. Yeah. I was kind of surprised that, he was able to be super effective, especially walking the leadoff hitter 4 times. Right. Like, I didn't think that was going to fare well for him, but Eric Fetty looked great out there. Now, when you get to some of the bullpen was great until you got to Roy Croft. And we've talked about Roy Croft a lot this week and not in the best way.
Well, I think number one, he has not pitched well. I mean, the numbers bear that out, right? He's got a
his command just has not been there yet.
No, it's not with any pitch, right? He's the slider or the fastball. But I think pitchers are done such an incredible disservice with the ghost runner.
Yes.
And that run is charged to him, which kind of sucks. Why isn't that just charged to the team? You get charged for a run when you allow a run that starts on second base. That's not fair.
No, I feel like I don't know many people who actually enjoy the Manfred extra man. I don't think that there's many people out there who like it, other than the team who happens to win that game, but it goes either way.
Yeah. And I grew up with 20-inning games and 25-inning games, so I like those. But now that I'm older and I need to get to bed for a night game, I don't mind it. It's just unfair the way it's applied for the pitchers.
Yeah.
And maybe, how about starting a ghost runner at first?
Makes it seem a little bit more fair.
Yeah.
I get that they're trying to do it to speed up the game, but I just don't enjoy it.
And they don't want to wear out bullpens because managers didn't use their entire bullpen before the end of the 9th inning back in the day. And now many times in a 9-inning game, you'll use 4 relievers. And then if you play 5 more innings, you'll use up your entire bullpen in a night. But that's another. That's
a story for another day.
Yeah, but,
things have changed since then.
They have. Fetty was terrific, though. So was Phil Maton. Leahy's been a revelation, 1.17 earned run average so far. He's been really good. Fernandez found it for all of the consternation about Ryan Fernandez. He was really good yesterday. Romero was fine. He got out of a jam. Helsley was Helsley. Steven Matz was great. And then all of a sudden, Chris Roycroft comes in.
Yeah. Did you feel like you knew it was going to be over with when he came in just because of his recent performance?
Well, it's kind of been that feel,
Yeah. Kyle Leahy, you mentioned him. I think that he deserves a lot of credit for what he's been able to do. He's now in that Ollie Marmol bullpen trust circle, and rightfully so, because he's appeared in 6 games and has allowed just 1 earned run over 7 2/3 innings, and he hasn't allowed a hit since March 27th, and he's walked just 3 and struck out 10.
Pretty good.
Yeah, I would say that that's pretty effective. So he's in that circle of trust right now with the bullpen.
And they're trying to figure out who the bullpen guys are. And I would think that at some point, Riley O'Brien, who's pitched in 3 games. He's
the Irishman.
Yeah.
You have to have at least one Irishman on your squad.
I think it's really important.
I do too.
And O'Brien so far, let me get the statistic for you. I had it before and I've got it again. He has thrown 3 innings in 3 games, struck out 5 and walked 1. So my guess would be, and he has an earned run average of 0.0. So my guess would be that Riley O'Brien will find his way to St. Louis sooner rather than later.
And I know a lot of people have been saying, why not just go ahead and bring up Riley O'Brien right now? I'm assuming this. I'm not completely sure, but he was injured last season for, I felt like, wasn't it the majority of the season that he was injured?
I think he only
in
threw
spring training.
3 or 4 games in spring training.
So they probably don't want to burn that arm because you see how thin they do have right now with the bullpen options. Willson Contreras, I think, is another thing that we need to touch on. And Stuart, I see your comment about the third base coach. Don't worry, we're going to review the video of that and we're going to discuss that here. But first, I want to get to Willson Contreras because he is still scuffling at the plate,
Gotta
Randy.
scuffle.
So he, after Wednesday's loss, 5 for 49 with 22 strikeouts in 12 games. And he is tied with Suzuki with the most strikeouts in the National League, but he's played 3 fewer games. Wilson Contreras, we keep seeing Ollie put him in the 2-hole. And I read Katie Woo's article in The Athletic this morning that was just put out about some of the concerns, like the bullpen, about Wilson, all the different kind of stuff. And Ollie Marmol had mentioned that they don't really have maybe another right-handed bat option to put at the top of the order right that. Why wouldn't you just put maybe Jordan Walker? Or you
Mason
even
Wynn?
Yeah, I think Mason Wynn would be a good option.
Speed
there.
at the top, as hot as Wynn has gotten now. You start, if you have Scott, Wynn, I guess you hit Nootbaar third, right? Scott, Wynn, Nootbaar, Arenado fourth, Donovan fifth, Walker sixth.
Mm-hmm.
I think that'd be, you've got a nice left, right, and then maybe move Willie down to seventh, a little bit less pressure there.
Why do you think that they haven't moved Wilson down yet?
I think they still look at it as early.
Yeah.
And I think that they think that based on his career, that he'll probably wind up at the end of the year with an 800 OPS. They think that for as cold as he is right now, he'll get hot to get back to his career numbers. That would be my guess.
Yeah, I assume so. And, the contract plays. So that's a big portion of that, is making sure that you get the most out of that contract. Also, yesterday, the base running during this road trip, Randy, hasn't exactly been the best. And you saw that happen multiple times yesterday. So we have some of that video. Rockio, if you can get that ready for us. And we're going to start with Thomas Sajaci.
This is in the eighth inning.
In the eighth inning, yes.
He singled. He moved up to second on a walk to Mason Wynn, and after Nootbaar lined out, Wilson Contreras was the hitter.
Popped it up. Bart didn't know where it was initially. It still doesn't. So Andy Rodriguez, oh my! A big-time collision. He's out at the plate because of the heads-up play by Hayes, but that was a big-time collision.
It was a good play.
Andy Rodriguez came flying in from first base.
Yeah. Just not for Sajaci.
No.
Still down. Tony Leo. Assistant athletic trainer. Boy, that's a great sign to see him get up.
Okay, so
great sign.
What
a little smile even.
What should Thomas Sajaci have done?
Thomas Sajaci there. Well, I thought that maybe he should have been a little bit more aggressive so that they could call obstruction, because that would have worked in his favor. It's almost like he was a little bit too nice because he was trying to avoid the pile of bodies that was happening right there. Not that he needs to run straight into the guy, but if he could have kind of shown maybe a little bit more of a case of obstruction.
And tried to stay in the baseline?
Yeah.
So,
do you think that would have worked in his favor there?
I think, first of all, he should have probably been in foul territory rather than just trying to tiptoe around.
I think that was another good point up there.
It's a tough play. I really don't know why he was there anyway.
So you're confused about what Sajaci was just doing in general there?
Now, granted, there is 2 out. You're down the line, but to your point, when the collision occurred, there had to be a point where he's allowed to make physical contact that point.
Yeah.
And then you just let the umpires do their job. Don't tiptoe.
I think that you also want to make sure that you don't get hurt yourself in that situation. Yeah. So maybe that's who he was talking or thinking about there. I felt like that was more of just kind of a little mistake on his part, not like a big issue.
No, and you never expect that to happen. You don't expect 2 guys at home plate to collide and go down right in the baseline. It's not something that when you're standing at third base saying, okay, what do I do in this situation? What do I do in this situation? You should always have an idea of what's going to happen, but that's not something that you plan for.
No. And that video was also courtesy of John Boy Media, because FanDuel Sports does not have somebody clipping things on social media anymore. So you have to depend on somebody else to clip it for you. That was John Boy Media. And now this is the big one that Stuart was alluding to earlier. Thomas Sajaci in the top of the 10th, Michael Siani, and this whole incident that happened that everybody's talking about, Randy, this morning and yesterday too. And this is courtesy of John Denton of MLB.com.
Kerfuffle.
And a base hit. They're going to wave home the runner. Here comes the throw to the plate. It's strong and right on the money. Oh, Tommy Pham, he is fired up. Tommy Pham throws out the speedster Siani. Pop Warner, with nobody out, decides to wave Siani, and he's out on the throw from Pham.
Yeah, I'm watching this happen, and I see he's just waving.
Okay, I like that you kind of pause it right there, Rockio, because you can see, because some people were questioning too that if Pop Warner actually was sending Michael Siani there, you could see him like windmilling him home. And so it was Pop Warner that was telling Michael Siani to go there in that situation. Randy, Pham pretty much already had the ball, and Siani isn't even at third yet. Yeah, you can already see that Pham already has it, and he is being sent by Pop Warner. I think that was a really highly questionable send by Pop Warner.
And my introduction to really good baseball was really aggressive baseball, forcing the other team to make a play. I don't have a problem with forcing the other team to make a play. I don't want to play to not win. I want to play to win.
But there's smart aggressiveness. There's smart aggressiveness, and then there's not so smart aggressiveness. In that situation, you can already see that Pham already has the ball before he can even get to third. I mean, is he the Flash? Is Michael Siani the Flash, where he's that quick, where you think that he'd be able to make it home safe?
It depends. If you're going to assume that Tommy Pham is going to make a perfect play every time, then you just hold everybody. If Tommy Pham is Dave Parker, then you don't try to force him.
Siani is not. I mean, Siani's fast, but he's not that fast. He's like I said, you would need superhero speed to be able to beat Pham on that situation.
Can we not criticize a send by the third base coach when the runner's caught by 2 full steps?
Oh yeah, you can criticize it, and he was out. So yes, you can criticize it. But what would you have done if he was safe? Would you have criticized him sending Siani then?
I would say that we need to get him in the Olympics for running, basically.
If he was safe, you would have said that was a bad send. If Pham throws the ball 5 feet up the line and he's safe.
The results don't change the process. It
Sure
was a bad
so
process.
you would not have wanted that run.
No, I would have wanted the run, but I would have said 99 times out of 100, Pop, don't be doing that.
99 times out of 100, that throw is successful in Major League Baseball?
That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying it's successful. I'm saying that 99 times out of 100, it's a bad idea to chance it in that situation specifically, especially when you look at extra innings. Men would have been on first and third with no outs. I just think it's a risk you don't take in that situation. 100% of the time, you don't take that risk, in my opinion.
And that's why the Cubs were the Cubs for 100 years, because they didn't.
Because they were risk averse. Is that what you're saying?
Right.
And I don't mind being risky, and I don't mind being aggressive, but then there's a good aggressive and there's a bad aggressive, because this just gives me kind of a flashback to, we're going to go back to April of 2023. Remember Tyler O'Neill and that whole situation, and they have standards up to there. That turned into a brouhaha. So what I'm saying here is, I just think that there's smart situations there and there's bad. And that was a bad form of aggressiveness. I think the Pop shouldn't have sent him. I mean, if you looked at that whole situation, Pop has a clear view of Tommy Pham, see that he already has the ball, and he chose to send Michael Siani in that situation. I think
you're forcing a guy to make a throw.
Yes, you are. But I still think it would have been smarter in that situation when you see that Pham already has the ball before he was able to get to third, to go ahead and send him.
So is there anybody in baseball where they're in left field in that position where you don't send you don't send them there? Is there anybody where you do?
I'm trying to think. Is Altuve playing in left field right now?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, there you go. If Altuve's in left field, I'd send him in that situation. He can barely get to the ball half the time.
Right. So,
I'm sorry, Wilson. It's like that's what I was talking about there.
He's struggling out there.
He's struggling.
I like aggressive baseball. And in fact, I'm fine with the contact play.
Yeah.
A ball on the infield trying to score. And a lot of times that third baseman doesn't get the throw home and make the play. I'm all about trying to score runs.
Yeah. This could be Ben says, keep Siani at third, have to play a little safe in that situation.
So here's the thing. They wound up losing the game. So let's not complain. When they play not to lose and they don't play to win, let's not complain about when they don't win them.
You want aggressiveness at all times.
All times, yeah.
At all times.
Especially in 2025, where teams are not very strong fundamentally. I love Tommy Pham. Tommy Pham is not a great outfielder. Tommy Pham is not a great fundamental player.
Well, look at the Yankees last season. That's what's kind of destroyed them towards the end.
Well, look at the World Series Game 5.
Yeah.
Right? They threw the ball around.
He might not be the best outfielder, but every number says he has a statistically above average arm. And so I'm just, and again, it's also not that deep left field. It just seems like it's
not super deep.
Every situational piece of the play, I just feel like tells you it's not the smartest play. And if it works, I would still be sticking to my guns and saying it was not the smart play. The Cardinals would have been better off having first and third with no outs, and Victor Scott the second would have been the guy coming up. Again,
I am so much more about results than process. I'm about winning and scoring runs, and I'd much rather take my chances. And if the process is wrong and I still score a run, I'll take the run.
I think what Matthew's saying is another good point there is I like my odds better because I do like the process. I like aggressiveness because you always talk about whitey ball. And that was an exciting, aggressive form of baseball, which I think a lot of fans want to see. But this team has also really proven that they're analytically based with a lot of decisions they make, that they analyze every little decision with the bullpen of who's getting pulled, who's coming in and out. Every single situation they have touched on the analytics as a reason why. Analytically, to what Brocchia was saying and what I was saying too, that seems like that wouldn't be the smartest decision in that situation. And you like your odds better with VS2 coming up.
Okay, so Siani is stopped at third. Scott does the exact same thing that he did with the infield in, and they throw home, and they get Siani at home. And then the next hitter, Baker, hits into a double play. Are you wondering why they didn't send Siani?
Not
Can they win?
Situation. That situation because I would also have seen the play where Pham already had the ball basically before Siani even made it to third.
Yeah.
So I just think if you are looking analytically with this
team,
you
have confidence that Tommy is going to make every play.
Not every single play. No, but I'm just saying that I don't care who it is in left field other than Altuve, maybe in that situation we were talking about, that basically if they already have the ball and they are ready to make a play before you're even at third, probably not the best decision to send the guy in that situation.
I just like aggressive trying to win baseball.
Do you like decisions that are informed by the variables you know? Do you like decisions that are informed essentially? Because in my opinion, Pop made a decision that was not informed by any fact.
I guarantee you that they had made that decision before the at-bat took place, that if a ball was hit to left field, that they were going to run on Tommy Pham.
But isn't there a difference between whether or not it's a deep shot to left field or if it's relatively shallow and he can take a three?
Well, Pham didn't have to come in for it. He was playing shallow, so any throw that he made was going to be made from short left field.
I just think that everything that Pop's there, but you know that Tommy Pham has an above average arm.
No, you don't.
They have that number.
He throws hard. No, he is not an accurate thrower on a regular basis. He makes throws, but he's not a regularly accurate thrower.
And so it's just 100% make Tommy Pham make the throw.
He
has the arm to get the ball there before Siani's even close to home plate. You know he has the arm. Yep. You know in the position he's at that he can get the ball there, and you're 100% making just saying Tommy Pham, make the play or don't.
Make the play, yeah, because the odds are just as strong that he'll airmail it or that the catcher will have to jump and won't be able to make the tag. Yeah, of course I'm going to make the opposition make a play.
I'd like to force them to make the more difficult play. That's not a difficult play for Tommy Pham to make.
Well, what's a more difficult play? The grounder to the second baseman with the infield in and throwing Siani out there, or making a throw from the outfield?
No, having to pitch to a major league hitter with men on first and third with no outs. That's a bad situation for any defensive situation in baseball.
I think that analytically you do have more of a chance, is what you're saying, right? Is that the numbers are pointing to
me. I'm going to lose the argument to
no, but I'm saying this team not. We've discussed this. This team they like to say the gut, but we also know that they have pointed to analytics.
Yes.
Ollie Marmol has a whole chart of when guys need to have rest days. This team is big on analytics. So analytically in that situation, I would like my odds better with VS2 coming up rather than sending Michael Siani in that situation with Tommy Pham already has the ball in his hand before he can get to third. Also, we have seen Pop Warner. I think that when you're kind of looking at early in the season and some of the early base running gaps that we've seen throughout these games, remember Pop Warner held up Donovan at third base the other day. on a play that would have won the game against the Angels. So why were they not aggressive in that situation then?
I don't know. Who was throwing?
I couldn't remember. Wait, who was throwing that day? It was somebody. It was somebody.
Who was the outfielder?
It was somebody. Let's see if we can pull up the. Which game was that at this point? Let me see.
Hell, I don't know.
Do you remember?
It was in the Boston series, wasn't it?
No, it was. Was it? I think it was. It was one of the extra inning games, I believe. Somebody in the chat could tell us.
Oh, it was Sunday night.
Was that Sunday?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think so. Samuel House says Donovan held himself up. I don't know if that was the case or not.
Yeah, I think that was. Did
he hold himself up where
Unless
he didn't go?
Unless they made a change, the Red Sox would have had Jarren Duran in left field.
So he was a pretty good defender.
Yeah, he is. I'm just saying that aggressiveness so far this season, we've seen it happen at certain points, but maybe not others. I don't disagree with you. Aggressiveness is a good thing. We want to see that. Yeah. But I just think in that situation, it's a little bit more questionable.
I hate watching, and I've seen it too much, watching a team with this manager, by the way, play in fear.
Yeah.
Playing afraid to make a play. And I just like seeing aggressiveness. I don't want to see my team play station to station baseball. I want to see them try to take the extra base.
You want Whitey ball is what you're saying.
Yeah, I do.
You want that exciting because this is a young athletic team. But so this could be Ben
use
says
your athleticism.
So we have some people in the comments with a lot of questions. Samuel Howe, he's a 50-50 thrower, Randy? ?
Well, it's I wouldn't say 50-50, but he doesn't have a rocket arm out there, and he's not. And obviously, he did make a really good throw here. So it's not like Tommy Pham is incapable of making a good throw. I'm just fine with making him make a throw.
There's nothing wrong with that, but I just think in that situation still was probably not the best. This could be Ben says, I doubt you bunt with VS2 in that situation if Siani was at third.
Yeah, they aren't going to try a squeeze play.
No. I don't know if that was a reply to somebody else, but yes. Smooth Production said Mike Trout. That was Trout. Yeah, that was Trout in that situation.
Oh, that's different then. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
I was trying to remember what that was.
Mike Trout and Tommy Pham are a little bit different.
Yeah. Okay.
In terms of their outfield throwing prowess.
IROCZ11 says,
IROCs.
There we go. With 0 outs, though, why take that risk with no outs?
Because you're trying to score a run. That's my point, is you're trying to score a run there.
You're trying to get this baby wrapped up is what you were trying to do.
Yeah. So, and like I said, so you've got Siani at third.
He said, I'm tired of watching this extra innings game.
Right. You've got, so if you have Siani at third and Scott grounds to the second baseman, you're going to leave Siani. You aren't sending Siani on the contact play there. If you didn't have the aggressiveness to send him against Pham, you certainly don't have the aggressiveness to send him on a contact play with the infield in, right? So, and then the next hitter hits into a double play and you don't score any runs. So, but you're happy because the process was not aggressive.
We're awarding process now.
Yeah.
Not the results of this.
It's a 2-game season. Yes, I care about process because you're not going to win fluky games the whole year. And if you do, it's going to evaporate in the playoffs. So I want consistency. That's what I'm talking about. That's why you focus on the process over the results. Is if you think if every variable was going against this play, which in my opinion it was, when you see everything there, then if the process is flawed, it's hard for me to get behind the result, no matter what it is.
Why do you think the Cardinals would try to not score a run then?
Why would you think the Cardinals were trying to not score a run
if all of their information is 100% accurate?
That's why I'm confused by the move, Randy, because every analytical analysis that happens during the game tells me it's a bad move. To Brooke's point, they're using analytics. Why are their analytics not saying it's a bad move? I don't know.
So they can't get a top 5 draft choice next year. Why are they trying to lose games?
Randy, no, it's you always send it always. I was not expecting that.
I grew up in 1991. My brain couldn't compute a tanking joke about the Cardinals. Like the neurons didn't fire to connect those things in any way, shape, or form. And I don't know if they ever will.
So Smooth Production says there's nothing wrong with having an aggressive mindset. However, it's about playing smart baseball, and that was not a smart baseball play. The same with Arenado play when he got tagged out. I agree. I don't think it was a smart baseball play in that moment. I'm saying that the odds, the analytics is that it was not the right moment in that situation. I like your odds better with having Siani at third and putting that pressure on the pitcher and the defense.
So Victor Scott steps to the plate. He fails 65% of the time. That's an analytic for you right there. Isn't he hitting 350? What's he hitting? What's Victor Scott hitting right
let's
now?
See.
So aren't the odds of Victor Scott getting a hit way below the odds of Tommy Pham throwing out a runner?
Well, I think it would be harder also to find the odds, though, of if a guy in left field already has a ball and you need the runner to make it from third, and he hasn't made it to third yet. Pham already had the ball in his hands.
Scott's only hitting 286 at the moment.
So but I'm saying, like, don't you think statistically, if we could put it together of the odds of how many left fielders would be able to make that throw in that situation, that before Siani's even at 30 has the ball and you're going ahead and sending him, you would have to have Olympic type speed, I feel like, to be able to make it home in that situation.
I think the
odds would show that.
You have a lot more respect for Tommy Pham's throwing ability than I do. I guess that's what it comes down to.
Rockio has his face in his hand right now.
See, because I get Randy's point to that level. I do for make players make mistakes. That's not a crazy thought process. We've seen a lot of.
No, it's not.
I get that.
Yeah. Keith Adams says, Randy, he already had the ball. What the hell? That's what we're trying to say.
You know how many times Lonnie Smith or Lou Brock had the ball in their hand and couldn't make the throw? I mean, it's just because he has the ball in his hands. Like, I could have the ball in my hands out in left field. There's no way I'm throwing a guy out. And
of course not, because you're not a Major League Baseball player.
That's the thing. And that's, I think, where we have, and you guys are obviously correct here, because Pham did throw him out. I've watched Tommy Pham since 2014. I don't think that his throwing ability is that extraordinary that even if he has the ball in his hand, I don't see him making the perfect throw every time.
You Mama says he doesn't have an elite arm, but he does have a massive flair for the dramatic.
He does. Yeah.
You have to take that into consideration. Is there a statistic on that for the flair on the dramatic?
There's no.
Because you could add that element to the game.
The flair
is it
is
a dramatic situation? Yes. How does this player perform in dramatic situations? Pretty well. I think that Tommy Pham would be pretty good in that spot.
Let's see your analytics on that.
Actually, and honestly, I really wish I should have been watching the MLB Network last night, because I bet they had some crazy analytic that was like, when the average MLB left fielder has the ball here, he hits the catcher at this percentage. I wish I had that number.
Yeah,
I'm sure some crazy site that I don't want to pay $400 a month for has it.
Yeah,
somebody with a lot of time on their hands.
When we had Vince Coleman on the show a couple of weeks ago, and he was talking about how he loved to steal third, and his percentage of stealing third was so high. Would you guys have just started without him ever trying to steal third?
Is Siani Vince Coleman?
I'm talking about odds and analytics, because the odds of, especially with a left-handed hitter up there, the odds of being able to successfully steal third are not extraordinary.
I know, but I like Vince Coleman in that situation a lot better than I do Michael Siani. And those are two very different base runners.
The thing is, like, if the first time he's doing it is in the top of the eighth with 2 outs, and he makes it, I'm still going to be like, listen, kid. But if it's 7 years in and he's established himself as the greatest third base stealer in history, there's a little bit more leeway because the numbers have changed. Statistically, he is the greatest stealer of third base. The numbers are still crappy, but relative to stealing third base, pretty good.
So why do you think, number
I like
one,
this comment.
Why has Tommy Pham not won a Gold Glove yet?
He has bad range.
It seems like,
according to his StatCast numbers.
Okay.
You're not completely wrong. He has above average arm strength. Not great arm value, according to StatCast. Jaron Duran, by the way, and Mike Trout, very different cases. Above average arm values.
And even Mike Trout, I mean, he did not do great in that situation with Donovan. If you would have known, because that was another one of the Donovan situation too, was one of those hindsights where it's like, if you knew that Trout was going to do what he did after that, that you'd probably feel a little bit better about sending him.
It'd be so much easier if we knew what was going to happen beforehand.
I mean, we would all know a lot more.
Would be the best third base coach in history.
Stuart Big says, a bullet travels faster than a person. A ball travels faster than a person. Even if it was a bad throw to the catcher, could have taken a smoke break before Siani got to the plate. Yeah, he had plenty of time, is what I think I'm trying to say there. Is the catcher had plenty of time to make that play.
Here's why I will always stick to process over results. I'm just going to go to blackjack on this one.
Okay.
Yes, it hurts when you keep getting dealt 12s, and every time you hit on the 12 because the dealer's showing a 10 or a 9, you keep getting 10s flipped. But it's the smart play, no matter how many times you lose your ass busting on 22, because long game, you play enough hands of blackjack, you will win more often than not by hitting on the 12 when the dealer's showing a good card like a 9 or a 10. So you have to just keep taking the L's. And so my brain can't get away from just the blackjack mindset of you just keep sticking to the 51% and you will eventually win more than the 49% in the long run. That's why I can't get away from the process.
You know what I hate about this is that he's turning us into like we're having to be analytic people at this moment. I hate it.
Actually, I like it.
So Rip It Up Cards says, bad meth, Randy. Yeah, Rip It Up Cards. I was wondering if Randy was on meth this morning with this response. They meant math, but still I liked what was said there. VS2 doesn't need a hit. Even a double play would score in that play. You're betting VS2 won't strike out.
Well, so I think the Pirates are bringing the infield in with a runner at third, right? And nobody out. And he grounded to the second baseman. So and Siani, we've already established he can't run. So Siani would be out at the plate, right?
Oh my gosh. No, I don't know. I can't exactly say, well, they do bring in Siani to be a pinch runner. So maybe that's what they were thinking in that situation of sending him, because they rely on him to be a pinch runner for the team sometimes. I don't know exactly what his speed is. I know that VS2 is pretty fast. I know that Mason Wynn is clearly fast. Blaze is his middle name. So it was natural for him. I'm not sure what Siani's speed is.
They like his speed.
Obviously, if you're going to have a pinch run.
By the way, if we go by the analytics, Whitey Herzog was a terrible manager. Let's just look at 1985.
Analytics didn't exist then. We're fine.
Okay, when
they didn't even know what it was.
To play the numbers here, there were basically 3,000 stolen bases and 1,500 caught stealings in 1985. All right, so if Whitey would have gone with that big sample size, then he would have said we should not be trying to run. We should not be trying to steal bases. So what happened was they wound up stealing 314 bases.
And who were some of the guys on his teams?
They had Coleman, McGee, Smith, Van Slyke, those guys, and they got
a little different than some of these guys. But
but I'm going by the numbers of that year for the whole league. If he would have played process and taken the huge sample size, then they would have never, if he was smart, tried to steal almost 400 bases.
Yeah, I think I'm going to always go with Vince Coleman's chances more than Siani. No offense, Siani.
But the rest of the league. So that's my point, is that you're going to go, you're never going to take a chance. If you go with process, you're never going to take chances.
But I don't like the chance when the outfielder already has the ball in his hands before you even get to third and you're sending a guy. I don't like my chances with that. Pretty much in any situation, unless they are an Olympic athlete or, as I mentioned, Flash, a superhero.
Here's my thing. Baseball 2025. And Tony always said this. Tony said, if you play a clean game, almost inevitably, the other team will find a way to beat themselves. And I think that the fundamentals, all due respect to Tommy Pham, in baseball are the standard for fundamentals is so low now that I'm going to try to make the other team make a play every single time, because I don't have confidence in their ability to do it.
So do you think that it was a smart baseball play? That's what you're saying?
Yeah, because more times than not in baseball in 2025, the opposition is not going to make that play.
There's smart aggressive and dumb aggressive, and that was dumb aggressive from Irox11. I think I'm
Mhm.
saying that name correctly.
And here's the question then. If the ball is thrown 4 feet over the catcher's head, is it still dumb aggressive? And if the run scores, is it still dumb aggressive?
But that's hindsight. That's hindsight,
No,
right?
it's process.
With the bat, that wasn't the process though. That's not what happened.
Well, it was the Cardinals
but
process.
but I'm
See,
saying
and here's the
theirs
thing.
is- they love their analytics.
Yeah.
Analytically, that's just not the safest bet to make in that situation.
And that's why I like it, because it's not safe.
You want them
I
to
don't
just
wanna
try
play
something
safe.
different. You
Yeah,
want something different.
I
Is that
don't
where you're
want
going
safe.
with this?
Yeah, I don't want to play to not lose. I want to play to win.
Ray says Cardinals made several base running mistakes in the opening series with the Twins and got away with it.
Oh.
I'm trying to remember some of them
Yeah.
off the top of my
And
head.
that's again, that's one of the things they're trying to accomplish in 2025 is they're developing players at the major league level. They're trying to literally teach players how to play up here, and that's why they will tell you behind closed doors, and why I am saying every day, this season isn't about winning. It's about evaluating. It's about developing. It's not about winning every game.
And so then that also means making mistakes, right?
This mistakes are going to happen.
See, he said it was a mistake. I got him to admit that it was a mistake.
Yeah, mistakes.
Did you like that, Rocky?
Yeah, mistakes are going to happen. Hey, yeah, the guy got thrown out. They made the mistake of they didn't realize that Tommy Pham is the second best left fielder.
Oh
in the
my
history of the
god!
sport.
Can I just make a statement that the Cardinals forcing me to argue about this decision for 20 minutes and having to argue analytics against Randy. How dare you sick SOBs? Win some freaking extra inning games, because I don't want to have this argument ever again. This isn't fun.
No, I
don't
think
like
this is fun. I think this is fun.
Yeah, I agree.
I hate having to get passionate about Cardinal analytics.
Yep.
Oh my god, I'm gonna
Randy,
throw up.
Yeah,
I need
you
to-
guys. By the way, are like they would never want Ellie De La Cruz to try to steal a base.
Oh my god! No, he's basically setting
I'm
us up to
cheering
say
every
that we don't
time
want
Victor
fun
Scott
baseball.
steals. When Victor Scott stole a base.
Oh,
the
too
inning before the
risky.
Siani?
No, don't want to do that. Ooh, you might get thrown out.
I think he did it with 2 outs. too.
Randy's like literally making us, trying to frame us into that we don't want fun baseball.
No,
And this is what I hate about this. This is why you've been in the broadcasting biz for
By the way,
so
Brooke,
long,
by the way,
because you're
Brooke,
great
this
at
is
it.
your karma for every time you used to jump on me for, well, Rock, do you like XGs or actual goals? This is what you get for
Yes.
supporting
I'll
him
take
in that
actual
argument.
goals.
That's
I'll take
true.
This
actual
is
goals.
what you get, Brooke.
I know.
One time I asked that question of one of the analytics guys over at 101. So would you rather have expected?
You asked one of the soccer broadcasters while we were interviewing him that question.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, damn
What'd he
it,
say?
Randy.
And what'd he say?
Yeah,
He said
yeah.
actual goals.
Actual goals. The actual goals are better than expected.
But I like expected goals because I mean the possibilities are endless.
Endless,
I mean the
endless.
possibilities are
you got,
endless.
like right now, City SC is scoring 7 a game expected.
That's what you would hope. Samuel Howe says all gas, no brakes, Randy. Yeah.
That's it.
If Randy was
yeah.
was the third base coach, he'd be sending everybody. He'd be you see him like windmilling
yeah,
away.
I'd be howling here, baby. No doubt about it. Our late friend Rich Hacker was awesome. Yeah, just send those babies. Yeah.
You could be Pujols' third base coach.
That's right.
Just always just blow
Yeah.
through those stop signs. No stop signs
But
needed.
Albert was invisible. It was unbelievable. He ran those stop signs all the time, but he never got caught.
Oh man, who was slower, Albert or Yachty?
Yachty was
By Yachty by
wild,
far.
yeah.
They
Yachty-
both. You know, Albert sometimes could pick up some speed, surprisingly, but Yachty. Love Yachty, but sometimes he ran like how I would run in a nightmare, where it's like you think you're moving fast, but you're not. Yeah, nothing. Those were painful moments, but he was aggressive,
Be aggressive.
which
Be
is what Randy
aggressive.
wants. He just wants to
I
send
like
everybody.
aggressiveness, Yeah,
He
Ozzy
wants to
stole
send everybody.
Yachty stole bases now and then.
He did do
He
that.
did. Do you guys want me to tell you about the cool newsletter that we have here at
Yes.
Sports Hub STL?
Go ahead.
Make sure that you've subscribed to our YouTube page. That's what you're on right now. That's what you're watching us on. And like this video if you haven't already liked it, because it's a lot of fun. It's fun to like. And here's another thing. You can go to sportshubstl.com and sign up for our Hub newsletter. It's sent to your inbox twice a week, and anytime St. Louis sports news breaks, and it's got a lot of cool stuff. You'll be the first to know about Sports Hub STL events and merchandise. You get exclusive content and prize opportunities. Plus, Bernie Miklasz is at sportshubstl.com. And while you're on the site, check out all the St. Louis sports content, including game recaps, programming highlights, sports news and opinion, gambling tips, and more. It's all on the website at sportshubstl.com. So they were right to take out a guy throwing a no-hitter and wrong to send a guy
Oh my God,
who was in
Randy.
scoring position when they got a base.
Oh my gosh.
How
No.
about the Blues
No.
last night?
Okay, now we're going to pivot over to the Blues. I know that we had some people who were asking for Blues talk. They did lose. Now, I have to admit, I didn't stay up for the entirety of the game because it was a late one, and I get tired very easily
I get
in
that.
this
I
day and
understand.
age right now. I don't know how. Did you stay up
I
the
did
whole
not
time?
stay up. No.
Because you get up super
I
early.
get up at 4 a.m.
Yeah,
But
so you have to
I
get your
stuck
beauty
around.
sleep.
Yeah, no doubt. So by the way, I also yesterday, before we get to the Blues, I had the
Mhm.
great good fortune of being invited to the naming of the Players Lounge at the University of Missouri, the Football Players Lounge,
Oh, nice.
named in honor of the late great Demetrius Johnson.
Oh, I
And
love
so
that.
DJ's family was there and a lot of his former teammates. And one thing that I want everybody to know is Mizzou's been playing football for 100 years. And of all the players that have played at the University of Missouri, the one that made enough impact to have the Players Lounge named after him is Demetrius Johnson. And I was saying to Eli that I think it'd be cool if when he gets up before the team every year, talks about what Demetrius Johnson did, not only on the field, but in the community, what he did for other people, what he did for people that needed help, what he did for other football players, having his HBCU camps to get kids scholarships here in St. Louis, the relationship that he had with the University of Missouri to get so many not just football players there, but young people that wanted an education. He was such a great friend to the University of Missouri. So we miss him every day, and he was one of the best people that I've ever been around. And so congratulations to DJ's family. I got a chance to see his widow, Pat, and his two daughters that are here in town, Taylor and Alex, and it was great to see them and great to have DJ honored like that.
Yeah, I only had the pleasure of knowing Demetrius for a little while, just a little bit, but you've obviously known him for such a long time. I think one of the best things that Eli Drinkwitz did was making sure that he actually really focused on that relationship with Demetrius Johnson and listened to him and leaned on him and let the players also understand how important advocacy was and to help in the community. I mean, Demetrius helped a lot too with Luther Burden and understanding what he needed to do to give back to the community, but he wasn't the only one. He really made sure a lot of the players were involved in the community, the important aspect of that, and how it made you not only more likable and helpful in the community, but how it also translated into you being a better player.
Right. So
he was a great guy.
Yeah. And so hopefully when players walk into that Players Lounge at Mizzou, they'll read what he did and maybe just take a little bit of a page out of the book that DJ wrote here in the St. Louis area. Okay.
I love that they did that. Do they also have it so it has his name? Is there any other kind of things
There's
about
a giant
him?
plaque explaining
Okay,
what he
good. I
was
like
to the
that.
program and what he was to the community.
I love that.
It's really cool.
Yeah. So his legacy, of course, we always knew it was going to live on, but now you have that there at Mizzou.
By the way, NIL is a big thing, but you know what's still a big thing in college sports is facilities. And I was walking around that south end zone facility.
Because they're
locker room
redoing it
facility.
right now,
No,
right?
the north end
Oh,
zone.
the
is
north
one
end
they're-
zone.
the-
South
where
is
the
already
locker
the new
room
one.
is where all the rooms are. And I said to Eli, because we always talk about, okay, who's got the best facilities? I said, is there anything here that you want for in these facilities? He said, no, this is awesome. This is as good as it gets in all of college football.
No, the additions that they made, like seeing that for the first time, look amazing.
Yeah.
And I liked all the renderings of what the stadium will look like. I think that's huge. That's stuff that matters when you're talking about recruiting and NIL. That stuff matters because the players, they're teenagers, right? Like they care about, how cool their facility looks. And so that's something that matters for recruiting.
And they've got a huge screen when you walk in the door. And they've got all of their from all of their statistics, like 40-yard dash and cone drills and all that, all the players up on this screen. But then it goes, the next thing it flips to is a Michael Jordan quote.
Oh,
Pretty
really?
cool. Yeah, about greatness. Okay,
That's cool.
So the Blues.
Now we're getting to Blues.
Blues lost last night in Edmonton 4-3, heartbreaking fashion. A goal scored by the Oilers with just 29 seconds left. And so a tough one for the Blues. But they did come back. A couple of things. Number one, we've spent a lot of time over the last 3 years talking about Jordan Kyrou, and I've mentioned this before. Jordan Kyrou just keeps getting better and better and better. I think he's a great sniper.
Yeah. Ghostface Gaming says, Kyrou, 34 goals. That is awesome. And he's doing especially right now when it matters. Jordan Kyrou, the way that his game has evolved has been huge for this team. You can notice a huge difference. And Robert Thomas as well. I thought this was really interesting because I don't know if you guys saw this quote yesterday, but Jim Montgomery was telling reporters that after Four Nations, Robert Thomas expressed how much he liked Jack Eichel's game. And so he and Thomas had this conversation. They went through clips of both Eichel and Patrice Bergeron as well, and a specific focus on the defensive side of the game. And Montgomery said it was very productive. It was almost like Robert Thomas was showing him, look, I can do this for you. I can provide this for the team. What do I need to do to get to that point where you'll trust me to do this?
And he's doing it all. I mean, he's on the PK. He's playing a great 200-foot game. He's the leading scorer in the league since February 1st. He should be in the Selke conversation. Robert Thomas has been that good. Now, when you're the Blues, one of the things that Jim Montgomery, the main thing that he mentioned last night after the game, he said, we just didn't do a good enough job in front of their net or our net. That and the winning goal by Connor Brown, perfect example. That just letting people get close to the net and having their skates in the Blues paint, in the blue paint, and the Blues didn't do enough of that.
Yeah, I think that that's something that definitely needs to be fixed. You do have Colton Parayko, who didn't play last night, but hopefully coming back. And I think that will be a big difference for this team. Still, I just can't help but wonder, too, how different this team looks without Dylan Holloway. Not saying that he was the guy that was running the show. We just talked about Jordan Kyrou's numbers, Robert Thomas's numbers, but chemistry matters. And he was a big part of that chemistry for this team.
And when you talk about the second line, because right now, Buchnevich, Thomas, Kyrou are playing great. And you had Holloway, Neighbors, Shen, and they were playing great. But now without Holloway there, you're trying to plug in Snuggerud or you're trying to find another goal scorer. And Holloway was second on your team in goals. And, Brooke, he goes to the net.
Yeah.
He's not the biggest guy in the world, but he does go to the net. And I think when you do that, when you're a guy that does that, it kind of prompts other people to do that too. And the Blues just didn't do enough of it last night. I have to believe that on Saturday night in Seattle, they're going to go hard to the net, and we'll see the Blues. And scoring 3 is no disgrace. I think the Blues will probably do a better job of that, though.
It always kind of freaks me out, too, when we talked to Lou yesterday and we saw Jeremy Rutherford's report about Dylan Holloway, about how sometimes they are mysterious for a reason where teams don't fully know, obviously, what the injury is. And that's the whole reason why they do the upper body, lower body injury thing, is so that teams can't just, pinpoint that and do. Remember, that happened with Robert Thomas during the playoffs or in the Stanley Cup run, where people were aware of what his injury was, and then it kind of singled him out a little bit. But I think the framing around this has me concerned, where you're hearing hip, and they're not exactly sure what it's going to look like. You like to hear day-to-day more than week-to-week. And now with the week-to-week, it's not even seeming like we're having any certain timetable. That always concerns me.
And you hear from other people that they think he might be. What's a long time? If he is back for the playoffs in a week and a half, then we're good, right?
Then we're fine. Yeah. But week to week.
Yeah, week to week is
and
troubling.
The weeks are running out before the postseason starts. So that's what concerns me. Damian Fowler says 6-on-5 is killing us.
It
is.
Is.
That's what was going on there at the end.
How often has Jim Montgomery talked about? And I think it might be if we were able to parse every criticism of Jim Montgomery's team by him in post-game press conferences, even when the team wins games, we've got to learn how to close games out.
Yes.
And last night, they were less than a minute away, less than 30 seconds away from sending the game into OT, and they couldn't close out.
Another big part of the story is Jordan Binnington. Jordan Binnington has been very tempered this season, and we haven't seen the dramatics of flair that we're used to seeing. But I thought this was really interesting, where even though I felt like kind of the national and international conversation around him has changed because of what he did during the Four Nations for Team Canada, I feel like Canadian people are always really hard on Jordan Binnington. And they always like to kind of treat him as like a joke or a punching bag. And you had that situation happen really early on in the game between him and Corey Perry. I don't know if you saw on social media, and Rocky, if we can play both clips of this, there's the full clip of what happened of Corey Perry basically skating right into Jordan Binnington's head is what it looked like, a neck area. And then you had Jordan Binnington jumping on him. But then other people clipped it where it was just Jordan Binnington jumping on Corey Perry, and they didn't show what led up to that point. Right. So if we have that first full clip, we can see.
Those flybys are, come on, Corey Perry. And boy, did he look.
Who wants to defend Corey Perry, by the way?
Second time.
Somebody's
near side. Bouchard. What core strength. We got a penalty coming. And now Binnington wants a piece. And this is ready to split early. He went right after Corey Perry. And this is where you can rattle Jordan Binnington. Nurse immediately pulls Braden Shen out of the pile. Neighbors ready to go at it with Perry. We might have a bout here.
They're going to fight for sure, Neighbors.
Here we go.
Look at Corey Perry's eyes here. Look how scared he looks.
Perry against Neighbors. Trying to cock that right hand and unload. Neighbors trying to tie him up. Perry looking for punching space, lands a right hook. Uppercut Neighbors.
So he's willing to go after the goalie, but he really
and that
doesn't.
video is from Gino Hard. And then we have the one that was then being shown more on social media between Perry and Binnington, where they just clipped it perfectly right after Corey Perry like basically runs into Jordan Binnington. And this is from BR Open Ice.
And Binnington wants a piece of Perry.
You see how they edited that?
Yeah.
Is that why do you think that
That's
is,
so,
Randy?
because they just they think that that's who Jordan Binnington is, and they don't think that there's anything that prompts him to do this.
Can I just say that basically if Jordan Binnington's list of people he goes after is Kadri and Perry, that maybe he's not the problem?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I think that those two...
I mean, I'm replaying the longer video, and
Let's hear it. Let's see it. Yeah,
Perry definitely, is doing a little.
Look, he skates right to his head and neck.
But look how Binnington starts this though, right here.
well, he's on
Bam.
the ground.
I mean, you can't sucker punch a dude to the back of the head though.
But I kind of like
understand
it.
have a little mentality, but I
okay,
understand
go
the
back.
toughness. But
wasn't Binnington on the ground there?
no, Binnington stands up and then punches him in the back of the
but
head.
when he got hit though,
Yes, Binnington was sprawled on the ground and Perry skates
okay,
right
so
to him right there.
what's more of a cheap shot?
I think punching somebody in the back of the head.
I mean, but the guy skated into you
I know, but
when you were on the ground.
I still think punching I'm sorry, you get skated into when you're a goaltender in the National Hockey League, and then your team takes care of it.
But a
usually face to
skate so
face.
close
I
to the
know.
neck.
This is
and the
Jordan
head,
Binnington.
But just
like
bet-
this is.
I know it's Jordan Binnington, but the point we're going to make though is that he's everything's getting taken out of context in an unfair way. But at the same time, we're not focusing on the fact that he does just two-hand sucker punch Perry in the back of the head. Now, listen, I hate Corey Perry as much as any Blues fan. And there's a lot of people here who hate Corey Perry. I love Jordan Binnington, but he does have a tendency of getting in these scrums, and then as soon as the guy turns his back to Binnington to cover the crease, Binnington either slashes him in the back of the knees or the back of the head, apparently.
Benner
So
defended himself. That this could be Ben. Yes.
Is
yes.
Benner 31 now?
Is he? I think so. About 31.
I think when I was 31, some people have it, some people don't. It's called blackout rage.
I wish I could have seen this version. No, I don't think I would have wanted to see this version of Randy.
So I have to believe that there was a little bit of that at play here. Yeah, he's 31 years old. I think when I was 31, I dealt with a little bit of blackout rage.
This is why I like Jordan Binnington, though, is I know that people would argue you should just let your teammates handle that and not get involved. But I love that Jordan Binnington, with the skinniest little legs that he has, is not afraid to back down. You've seen his legs. He's little chicken legs. He's not afraid. He is a skinny guy. He is really skinny. I know that the whole ensemble doesn't make it seem that way. He is a skinny dude, and I love that he does not back down from a fight.
And I guarantee you that his teammates love it too.
I would hope so, yeah. But you saw, if they didn't love it, they wouldn't have defended him in that situation.
Yeah. So don't mess around with our goaler.
No, I like it. I think that, and I think he's embraced that villain role a lot of the times, but he really
Especially
hasn't
up
done
there.
anything.
No, in Canada.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. They didn't like it when he won a Stanley Cup, right? And they like their own mediocre goalies rather than ours. So that's fine.
Some of these comments. Shame on you, Ellipsis 150. Shame.
What?
We're doing shame. Randy.
Oh, let's read it. Okay.
No, we're not. High definition. Sorry, Rocky. If someone puts a skate near my neck, I will lose my crap like Benner did. Same.
I'm sorry. Skaters go flying into goaltenders all the time, and usually you get crap for it. They'll pull you off, but like That's why goaltenders are covered in padding. That's why they have both a neck. They both have the wraparound neck guard, and they have another neck guard that connects to their helmet. That's why they
but
have
still, at the same time, he could have. Like, think about it. If you jam your head, I mean, that's dangerous.
Again, I understand that, but I have no problem with Jordan Binnington going after players. I have a problem with him going after players with their backs turned to him. That's my issue.
Smooth.
Well, do you think should he have just waited till he turned around?
Yeah.
Say, look at me, look at me, and then shove him.
Yes, that's why you don't sucker punch people, because you're supposed to turn around and then just clock them.
You need that fire. We talk about it all the time about sometimes. Don't you miss, Randy? How many fights did you used to see in the NHL? All the time when you had enforcers, when you actually had enforcers around. I know that typically your goalie's not your enforcer in this situation, but still, we always talk about how maybe boring sometimes sports has gotten, where they used to be a lot dirtier back in the day. I like that. I like the aggressiveness.
Anybody who watched Slapshot loves the line, let them know you're there. And that's exactly what Jordan Binnington does. Billy Smith used to slash guys and break ankles. It used to happen. Old school hockey, eh? Yeah. And
I like it.
Binner is old school hockey.
I like it unless it happens to one of our players, of course. Then I absolutely hate
wakey
it.
Bacchus.
Yeah. Smooth Productions. I want to get back to this one. So was that an aggressive move by Binner, Randy?
That was an aggressive move, and I loved it. Yeah.
That's what we want to see. We want to see people getting hurt, apparently.
And you know what? I don't mind. Go look for, since we're on YouTube right now, after our show is over, do a search for Jeff Courtnall, Geoff, Jeff Courtnall Jamie Store. That's old school hockey, and it won a game for the Blues.
Pimp Daddy Mike 2 says you cannot mess with the goalie, plain and simple.
I'm not saying. Listen, I'm glad. I love that it went into a full out brawl. And was it Neighbors beating? Was that Corey Perry that Neighbors was beating up at the end? Yeah. Neighbors beating his ass. I love that. I'm cheering for Neighbors. Again, I'm not saying I have any problem with Jordan Binnington going after guys. I love the Kadri situation, other than the fact that was it Schenner who took a bad penalty on it? Or no, I think it might have been Shorts. I just, the last thing Binnington did before he got called up was slash a guy in the back of the knees. It's not the cleanest way to retaliate.
No.
Oh my gosh.
Which fight are you showing us?
Old time hockey. Jeff Courtnall running Jamie's Store in the playoffs in '98.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
I don't know if we need to bring that kind of force back.
Oh, that's what we need.
I don't know if we need. But
Cleveland's point, Binner does back it up, and I do appreciate that about him.
Pretty cool.
I like it. Like I said, I like that he is so skinny and he is not afraid of a fight. Get that man some cornbread.
Yeah, he's. I want to see a guy that displays the biggest thing I want to see from my athletes when I'm buying tickets is their desire and competitiveness.
Yes.
And I see desire and competitiveness from Jordan Binnington every single game.
Eric Cleveland says Binner is not fake. He talks and takes all the smoke. That's what I like, is that he talks the talk and he walks the walk. He's not a guy who's all bark and no bite. I think you always appreciate a person like that. I will say I
do hate the narrative nationally around Binnington, because these moments have been so few and far between when he went to the NHL. And usually, to everyone's point in the chat against me, it's not complete. Like, there are reasons why he flies off the handle now. And you heard the commenter when we were playing it. You heard, Jordan Binnington will get like this. He can fly off the handle like this.
Yes.
Has he really in his pro career that many times? Or I should say his NHL career, because you're still getting paid in the minors, and he did fly off the handle a lot then.
Yeah, and I don't think it's really a national narrative. It comes from the 51st state for the most part, but I don't think that
51st state. I can't. Do they know that yet? Are they aware of this?
I don't know.
Make the visas easier for the hockey players.
Oh, good point. Hey, I want you to know that our friends at DraftKings have a really cool thing happening. With baseball season officially underway, it's time to step up to the plate with DraftKings Pick 6. Download DraftKings Pick 6 and think of it as your fastball right down the middle. It's the easiest way to play for cash and take a shot at a big win. So here's what you need to do. Just select 2 or more players and choose if they'll have more or less of a stat. So I've got one today, Brooke. It's really cool. I'm playing a Pick 6 for the Masters. And today I've got Xander Schauffele under 4.5 birdies. I've got Rory McIlroy under 2.5 bogeys. And I've got Ludwig Åberg with an A at more than 70.5 strokes. So I've got him at 71 or higher. Those are the kinds of things that you can do at DraftKings Pick 6. It's available in most states, including California and Texas, Georgia, Missouri, and more. All you need to do is cash in your baseball knowledge or your golf knowledge today. With new players, you get $50 in Pick 6 credits instantly on just a $5 entry. Check it out now. Download DraftKings Pick 6.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 and over. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 credits that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
All right.
Now it's time for the Grim Report. By the way, we do have some news just coming out. Katie
Bulletin.
blew up the Athletic
Flash,
reporting.
apparently official.
The Cardinals have optioned Chris Roycroft to Memphis.
Darn it.
Why?
Chris, we hardly knew you.
Why? Why would they do that?
Because he's struggling. A 7.94 earned run average will
I
do
guess
that.
so.
Even a big guy, like, how would you like to call Chris Roycroft into your office and say, Chris, you're being sent to Memphis? And he's 6'8".
Oh, you're saying like he's going to attack you?
Either attack you or you're going to see a large man cry.
Oh, which one's
Hashtag
worse?
sad. Being attacked.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you know,
by
fair.
the 6'8" guy.
I don't
So
know.
do we have a replacement?
We do. I know she hasn't. Well, I assume so, but I mean, she has not reported on who yet. But
I'm
I
gonna
think
go
that
with-
Riley O'Brien
Yeah.
might be a good call.
Riley O'Brien.
The
All
Irishman.
Irish, yeah.
Just don't look up what he looks like. He just doesn't look Irish.
Does he not
whatsoever.
look Irish?
Who? Roycroft? You want me to show you a
Riley
picture?
O'Brien.
Riley O'Brien.
Does he look Irish?
You have never seen what Riley O'Brien looks like?
You know Jim Cott, who was with the Hall of Famer Jim Cott.
He's
great
half
brother.
Korean, by the way, so
Riley
he could be
O'Brien is?
Irish,
Okay.
but
Okay, yeah, he could be Irish. So when Jim Cott was here, teammates with Willie McGee, he used to say that to Will. Hey, how you doing, Irish?
remember Jack Flaherty?
Yep, Jack Flaherty. He's pitching well for Detroit. Yeah,
The old Irishman.
yeah, old Irish Jack Flaherty.
Yes. So we do
Yeah.
have an actual Grim Report for you
Grim
outside of that.
report.
So we
Yeah,
will
here we
be waiting to see who will replace Chris Roycroft. We're assuming Riley O'Brien. But
Mm-hmm.
this is a really interesting story that is coming out right now, which kind of shows you how things are shifting in Major League Baseball. So according to reports, Major League Baseball is shopping MLB TV amid a push for a national streaming package. So we know that things are going in the direction of streaming, but something that is always held, and Randy, you've brought this up before, that has always held back Major League Baseball is their demographic, which is
Older. The average MLB fan is about 57 years old.
yeah, and streaming still probably not the best option. I can actually use my parents in this situation. They came to town to visit us, and we only have streaming at our house.
Mhm.
And they had no idea, Randy, or understood streaming. They were like, so how do you know when something's on? And we're like, we don't. We just, if there's a game that's on, we know that it's already scheduled, and then we find out which streaming service it's on.
Uh-huh.
Or if there's a show we watch, it's usually the show's already out, or you just know a specific day it comes out.
So channel surfing is a thing of the past.
Yeah, it's more streaming surfing
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
We replaced channel surfing with
With
streaming
streaming
surfing,
surfing, yeah. Mhm.
and I don't think that either one is more stressful or less stressful than the other. But what do you guys make of Major League Baseball shopping MLB TV?
Well, I will start with this. It depends on where they go, because I don't know anybody that doesn't have Amazon Prime,
Yeah,
right? Amazon Prime is easy for streaming, easy to find, easy to use. I do know a lot of people, and especially with MLS in town, that don't have Apple TV
Mhm.
and get frustrated when their Friday night Apple games show up, because
Yeah.
not only do they not have it, but they don't want to pay for it. So I think you've got two different animals. I think if the games were on, and ESPN and MLB are not on the same page right now, but I think it's easy enough to find ESPN Plus that you can put every game there.
Sometimes
ESPN's been there, done
ESPN
that.
yeah.
They had the opportunity to get all the RSNs, and they missed out because of the Justice Department. So I hate to not have a hot take on this, like I did with Tommy Pham's throwing ability, but I think it depends on what streaming service they would go to.
Yeah, we're having some people on the chat say Prime is the way to go. I think Apple would be intriguing, because I think Apple's also up there. But to your point, Amazon Prime has really crushed it. Their coverage of the NFL is really good. I haven't heard anybody say that they've had any issues with watching the NFL on Amazon Prime. The talent that they hired for Amazon Prime has been fantastic too. I enjoyed the Amazon Prime productions.
And now that they're going to be involved with the NFL and the NBA, why not? And by the way, Amazon Prime is already all involved with baseball too. Why not go all in?
Yeah. So in the article too, it says that Commissioner Rob Manfred has set a loose deadline of 2028, which, by the way, he hopes to combine a majority of teams' live local rights together to sell to a streamer. This would appear to be a major step toward that goal. But what's happening in 2026, Randy, which is kind of concerning.
We're going to have a lockout. Yeah, baseball's going to be gone for a year. So that's why Manfred's date is 2028.
Yeah.
That's when the current TV contracts are up, and that's when he wants to try something new. In addition to streaming, by the way that he will solve the problem, the demographic problem, is that Manfred, sources say, wants every game in a local region to be on free TV too, so that for the younger demographic or the demographic that's out and can't get the game on free local TV, it's available to them without blackout. So if you're in Dubuque, if you're in Little Rock, if you're in Bloomington, Illinois, you can still get the Cardinals on your streaming service. Or if you're here and you just want to watch on your phone or your iPad, you can stream it. But it's also available with your antenna on Matrix Midwest.
Oh, the little plug there. I see what you did there. A little plug. I think it's interesting because I think Major League Baseball, out of all of the professional sports, is probably struggling with that demographic issue, where for the NFL, we've seen that streaming is not really a concern for them anymore. It was a concern for a little bit, but now it's not a concern for them because their audience is in that perfect age range. Of course, they still have an older demographic, but it's so well spread out that they don't have to worry about the majority of their demographic not being able to figure out how to watch the product.
And if they don't, there are plenty of other products available on normal carriers, on traditional carriers, Fox, CBS, NBC, ESPN, so that even though they have games on Peacock, even though they have games on Netflix, if you're non-tech savvy, you can still find pretty much every game. And I think that's the gold standard. That's what everybody wants. That's what MLS was thinking they were getting when they went to Apple was, hey, we'll have every game available to everybody, and we'll have a singular pregame show, and that'll be the way it'll work. I think it's really hard to do. And I think especially for baseball, going back to baseball, if you've ever been in an independent living facility, an assisted living facility, I don't want to call it an old folks home, but for lack of a better term, if you've ever been in an old folks home, Cardinal game comes on at 7, where do all the old people go? Right, they go to the lounge and the big screen TV to watch the Cardinals at 7. And
they make the younger nursing staff figure out how to get it on the TV.
Exactly. Right. But it's been easy for them because it's always been on FanDuel or Fox, before that Bally or before that Fox, but it's always been on the same channel, right? It's been easy to find. And I think that's one of the reasons that Manfred, with the older demographic, wants to have that free TV available. And it'll be interesting, by the way, when the Blues games were on Matrix, they got far and away their highest ratings of the season, Matrix and KMOV. And tomorrow night's Cardinal game is on both. It'll be interesting to see what the ratings are on free television. Do you, Matthew, Brooke, do you remember television with an antenna?
No.
So that's one of the things you have to do. You got to buy a $10 antenna or a $15 antenna and screw it into the back of your TV. But a lot of people your age that I've asked, they don't even realize that there used to be a thing called an antenna that provided free television.
I think Wilson would be a good person to ask.
Have you ever heard of TV with an antenna, Wilson? Okay, there we go.
Okay, nice. I mean, I've heard of it, but I never had to use it before.
What caused my family to get cable for the first time was the Cardinals games.
Really? Okay.
We did not get cable until the Cardinals games went from local television to cable. So that would have been what, 03, 04, or 05? One of those years?
Before, completely. Well, no, because McGuire was on in 97, 98.
No, I'm saying
all the games.
When the whole games. All TV games.
It's been like 20 years. Yeah,
it was like 2004. That's when we got cable, and so I remember I was like 13 or 14. Okay. So I remember just like regular channel surfing. I mean, WB11 is my childhood, and I was a big PBS kid.
Okay,
loved Arthur, Reading Rainbow.
Oh my gosh,
Wishbone,
Reading Rainbow.
Freaking Wishbone, man. This is why kids have no appreciation of history.
Yeah,
because they didn't watch Wishbone. Wishbone went on the Oregon Trail, Wilson.
Yeah. Who was Arthur's little sister that he was such a pet?
Oh,
DW.
my God!
yes.
Yeah, there we go.
I forgot about
Yeah,
that. I
yeah.
used to love watching Arthur.
Oh, so did I.
I didn't see
Yeah.
it coming.
Rugrats? Rugrats wasn't on.
Rugrats was a Nickelodeon show.
Nickelodeon, but it was great.
See, it's crazy you bring that up because like shows like Rugrats when I was a little kid were crazy to me because like I would watch like 3 episodes of them when I would go to friends' houses. But then I would have like 6 months where I would never see it again. I'd be like, I gotta watch this Rugrats show again. It was game changer.
I loved Rugrats.
That's
too.
how I learned Judaism. I didn't learn it by going to classes. I learned about Judaism.
Oh yeah, because Chuck is
Rugrats.
Jewish.
Yeah.
Chuck
Is he
and his dad
really?
are Jewish.
Yeah.
I didn't even remember that.
Yeah, they taught you stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't pay attention, I guess, that
should've.
much. I know I should have. Chad Harrington says, Brooke never used a rotary phone? No.
No.
My grandparents had a rotary phone that I had to use when I was because they would pick me up from kindergarten and stuff like that. So I did use a rotary phone for a nice little chunk of my very early childhood.
Rotary phones
I think
were the
that
worst.
it was more decoration that I had at my grandparents' house. I don't
No,
think
it was
they
the
used
only
it.
phone that worked at my grandparents' house.
Really?
When I was a little kid, I think they got a wireless phone eventually because they got a little bit older. They didn't want to have to walk up and pick up the phone like that every time.
Cordless.
So you get like the 4 or 5 like cordless things that are around the house, you know, next to the couch, in your office, but when I'm a little kid, I remember like the 2 things I distinctly remember about my grandparents' house because they would pick me up from like kindergarten sometimes. I remember they would give me graham crackers, and I would sometimes have to make phone calls on the rotary phone. I love graham crackers, man. I haven't had a graham cracker in too long.
Oh man, we had some people also join in late, and we can bring this back up. Brian says late to the party, but on the base running issue on the fam throw, it could have been 5 steps up the line, and the catcher would still have time to tag Siani. Thus, a bad decision. Let's bring this back up again.
Yeah. Well, can we bring up the video again?
Oh yeah. Which one are we
Let's see.
big-
Let's
Siani?
see if he could have been if it would have been 10 feet up the line or whatever. If it would have been 8 feet over the guy's head and bounced off the backstop.
So this is the last frame we have. I can make it a little bit bigger on the screen for everybody. This is.
I just want to see where Siani is when the ball crosses or when the ball goes into the catcher's glove. Because the catcher would have to move too. He would have to dive, right?
Let's see.
So if this is 5 feet up or down the line, he's got to come back. So he's not beating Siani to the plate.
Ball is in the catcher's glove right there.
Okay, so if the ball is 5 feet to the left or right or over his head, then he's got to dive back in, and Siani's got him beat. Right?
You want to play it?
I think more than anything more than just like a few feet to the left or right, he can probably make a diving play. But
3 feet he can sweep.
Yeah.
But Pham, to his credit, made a perfect throw there. That's my entire argument is make him make a perfect play, and he did.
I like the little leap that Siani does too.
Yeah, that and so,
like was
so
he trying to
JC
leap
was trying
over?
that too. Come on, guys.
Yeah. No leap. Is that something they're teaching them?
I don't think so. I don't know.
Oh man, yeah, we'll have to get away from that. Somebody asked me do you have a beeper? No, and I remember thinking when I was younger that I couldn't wait to have a beeper. I thought it was like so cool.
When I was
like
a kid,
beepers were so cool, like you were important.
I distinctly remember being a kid and like thinking about what my future was going to be like, and there was one like scenario I thought of. I was going to have to answer my beeper while hanging out with my friends on the landing. Guess what, people? Neither of those things ever happened.
Did you have a beeper?
Oh yeah, we had to have beepers 24/7 at when I was working at KMOX and Danny Mac was working there.
Yeah.
So they literally said have your beeper on 24/7. So Danny Mac could go in to do the Blues intermissions, and I would call his beeper. And so he'd be doing the intermission. Yeah, so Pavel Demetrius scored in the second period. Beep 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 beep. It was great.
Oh my
I love
gosh.
doing that.
Randy, wasn't there something at the beginning of Sports Talk that you guys had like a little pager with scores and stuff that you would
Oh,
give
yeah.
them?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, he had a little pager with scores. Yeah, that's right. That was pretty cool. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, it was. And then I was one of the few people that bought the ESPN phone. There was a literal
ESPN phone.
Yeah. So yeah, Google it. It only lasted for like 6 months. I think it was in 2005 or 2006, and they really pushed it hard. They promoted it during the Super Bowl ads. So I went in and bought one right away. Had a great number too. 4949494. That was my number. 4949494. So I don't have it anymore. But that was my number at that
Okay,
point.
I'm looking at this right now. I
And
don't
so-
remember this.
And then they decided to get out of the hardware business and got into the just software, so that now you hear my phone go. Do-do-do-do-do-do.
Apparently, it's in the Museum of Failure.
Yeah, it was a failure.
It's in the. It looks cool. I will say that.
It was.
I miss
it was
flip
cool.
phones. I did have a flip phone.
Yeah.
I even had a Nokia at one point. Remember those giant
yeah,
blocks that never died? The batteries on those were fantastic. I did have a razor.
did too.
I would have bet $500 that Brooke Grimsley had a razor.
What is that supposed to mean? Why?
Sometimes you sometimes you have a dart and you know where to throw it. I don't know.
What does that say? I feel like he's like trying to say something by that comment. What are you implying
I had a
about me and the
razor.
razor? Yeah, he had a razor too.
It was a very popular phone. I'm not implying anything. What are you so sensitive about?
Because I'm trying to figure out. You said I could tell that you had a razor. What is that supposed to
Was
mean?
I wrong?
No, and it was pink.
Yeah. And mine was silver. So the ESPN phone, I think, was the first phone that I ever had that had video on it.
Jay Reinegate said Brooke is a pink razor owner for sure. Yes, I was.
Like Taylor Swift or whoever like donated to Africa or something like that. If you got, was that what it was? Am I
No,
wrong?
what?
It was
I don't remember that.
There was like some pink phone, a pop star. It was like something where you got the pink razor and they donated like $50 to Africa.
Maybe.
Oh wow.
I'm sure that's the reason why I wanted it. Or I just wanted it to be cool because everybody had a pink razor.
Pink razor. I
Pink
did not
had a
have a pink
razor.
I never had
razor.
a razor.
Oh, come
I
on.
did.
Why didn't you have a pink one, Randy?
You know what I had? I had a metal one that had the Rams logo engraved in it.
Oh, that's pretty
Wow,
good.
that's
Yeah, and I think
that's
it's still.
fancy.
It might be at home somewhere.
You could put that in like. I wonder if you could sell that to a
We
museum.
could
or
use it
something.
here. We could
That's
just
pretty cool. I never had a phone that cool.
You could for decoration.
we'll set it up. Yeah, it could be part of our decor. I'll see
It
if
could
I
be
can
like
find
an
it. Yeah.
artifact one day.
Yeah, I think it already might be.
Flip phones are great. I liked that if you were angry at somebody, you could actually just like emphasize the ending of that conversation with
Right,
the flip
yeah.
phone.
So Bob Costas, until like 3 years ago, had a flip phone,
Really?
and he was very proud of it that he was old school and only had a flip phone.
My parents still have it. Well, my mom has an iPhone, but that's a struggle. That's been a struggle. And my dad still has a flip
So,
phone.
Costas has gone to a smartphone, and he's like Mr. Emoji.
He loves it.
Yeah, he
just
loves
like
it.
an emoji
Yeah.
with
You
everything.
know who else uses emojis? This
Huh.
will shock you. Tony LaRusse is a big emoji guy.
Really?
Yeah,
What's his most used emoji?
baseball.
Oh, well, that makes sense.
We're kind of getting back to flip phones because we're getting like the folding ones
Mhm.
where it like opens up to like almost like it's a tablet, but then it folds up and it's kind of phone shaped. I'm kind of down with that.
Yeah, I had a BlackBerry that I loved.
Somebody asked if I bet Randy had a BlackBerry.
Loved it.
I had one. I had a BlackBerry before I had an iPhone. I still have my original, the first iPhone. And that thing, like whenever it looks so huge, like you
Mhm.
forget what they used to look like. Like they're thick.
Yeah, Brooke, my first phone was a bag phone. It was like
A what
it was,
phone?
it was in a bag. It was like this big. It was bigger. It was
The
like
one
2
you put
bricks.
on your shoulder.
No, you just carried it around like a purse.
Okay.
If
Oh
you
my
do Google
gosh.
for a bag phone.
A
That's what-
bag phone. That
Yeah,
sounds so
I think it was a
cool.
Motorola bag phone. You guys remember those? Chat if you had one or if you wanted one.
No, I remember when my
That
mom
looks
first got
cool.
a cell phone and the amount that we would just take it away from her to play Snake.
Mhm.
Every time we were around my mom, like we were in the grocery store, Mom, can I have your phone to play Snake? Every single time. And I thought that was just the height of technology.
That's so
Yeah,
cool.
no, the bag phone looks
now I have-
super cool.
There are literal
It was
games
regular size
that I
phone.
was playing on a full-fledged desktop computer in like 2009 that now have mobile versions on a phone. It's insane.
Is that right?
Yeah,
Wow.
there are
Here.
full-on Age of
It's
Empires
only
games,
$36.
which are
Yeah.
games I was playing on computers when I was a kid that are just have mobile ports now. It's insane. Like I can play that on this.
It's amazing.
When I used to need a full tower and everything. It's insane.
So we're looking at pictures of bag phones now.
It's
so
only $36.
You know what? While we're
That's so
talking
cool.
about something old, it kind of leads us into our overarching item of the day.
Oh,
Oh.
yes, we do. This is the big question that we didn't get to ask yesterday. So, our overarching question of the day
Mhm.
is: have you seen the news that they're bringing back extinct animals, including the direwolf is back?
Direwolf.
The direwolf is back. I think it's been over, what is it, 13,000 or 10,000?
10, 13, something like that.
13,000
How
years.
are they doing it?
Well, it's not. They're not. They didn't bring back a full on direwolf. What they actually did. This is the picture, by the way.
It's kind of like it's
Oh,
like the same concept
cute.
as like cloning.
Yeah, they
Okay.
well, no, what they did was they spliced direwolf DNA that they were able to pull out of whatever fossil or whatever the hell. I'm not smart enough to know the answer to that part. But they pulled the DNA out
The
and they
cute
spliced
fella.
it with a gray wolf.
Okay.
So they didn't.
Got
This
it.
isn't like this isn't Jurassic Park where they like were able to like synthesize the genome and then like build a new
Mhm.
one. These are gray wolves that have been spliced with a bunch of direwolf DNA to the point where they are 80 pounds already at 4 months
Wow.
a year old. Like they're going to be huge. But this is how we get stuff. We have to kind of like
Okay.
halfway splice it,
I'm-
halfway clone it.
It's
But-
and it's kind of like
Yeah.
the thought process of if you watch like Jurassic World or Jurassic
Yeah.
Park, they're basically kind of like it's part of the DNA, and then they put it together with something else that's already existing,
So-
creating like a monster of some sort.
So we have the science.
we have the science.
So this is why they froze Ted Williams'
Oh,
head.
God.
Is it not? Is it called cryogenics?
Yeah, cryogenics.
Yeah.
They
froze his
this
head.
is why, so that they had his DNA, so that they could make another Ted Williams.
Well, that kind of goes into my question. So if there was a player that you could bring back, like a clone version, where you're taking their DNA and basically mixing it with somebody else, like I don't know, if you want to mix it with like the fastest baseball player out there, like
Yeah, we're
Michael
gonna do- we're just
Siani.
gonna do straight.
Rocky, did you catch that? To play the modern version of their sport, who would it be? You want to do Ted Williams and Michael Siani?
I was
I'm not saying. I thought we were just gonna like just
Yeah,
bring an
good
old
one.
school player into today's
Yeah.
game. Just you get a
Yeah.
clone.
I was going to go rip from
Well,
the
obviously you
headlines
don't
and
want
go
like a
Octavio
zombie.
Hotel.
No, I knew he was gonna say it, Rockio. I knew he
This
was
is
gonna
why we
say
didn't
it.
Do this segment you promised.
You promised us. You lied.
I ripped it
lied,
from the
sir.
headlines. It's right there. It's like a Law and Order episode.
You lied to us.
Absolutely lied to us.
Tell
Oh
me you
my
didn't
gosh.
laugh.
Okay.
Tell me
Brian
you
Ellison-
didn't. Tell me you didn't laugh.
Brian Ellison throws out Stan Musial, obviously facing this pitching where they only go 5 1/3.
Throw sliders, no chance.
I was gonna say, people say Babe Ruth, and it's like,
Yeah, but that bad.
CC Sabathia would have had him spinning in a 360 circle like a Looney Tunes cartoon.
That's what I was asking. Is like, would
Okay.
you like if you could bring back
Okay.
peak Babe Ruth? How would he do in today's game?
With that big giant bat, he's probably got like he doesn't even have slider bat speed.
Here's mine. I would clone. Some people were going to go Wilt Chamberlain. It's an option I threw up here for fun
Mhm.
because he's so big and he was so dominant at the time.
Mhm.
I'm going to go with Bill Russell because Bill Russell would be even more dominant in today's area.
No, he's
than
6'8".
He was. Hold on a second. Let me explain this. So, okay, exactly. The NBA is still at a point where you can be an undersized center.
Mhm.
The game is now being played at the fastest point it's been played since the 60s when the Boston Celtics, to everyone's, I think people forget this, were a primary transition team, those Red Auerbach Celtics teams. So now you're in another era where transition offense rules, transition defense is king. The man ran like a gazelle, could pull down a rebound and then finish like a layup on the other side. He would be incredible in a smaller, faster, open NBA like we play nowadays. Bill Russell would be as dominant, if not even better, in today's era than he was then.
LeBron had eat his lunch.
You have to factor in a little bit of the strength training aspect, right? He's bigger than Draymond Green, and we've seen what Draymond's been able to do his entire career. But he's Bill Russell, not Draymond Green, and so I would trust him.
They were
to be
less
even
skinnier
more
back then,
dominant.
huh? Yeah.
Who do you want to see come back?
I don't know. Well, I thought Babe Ruth, just because it would be, I know that it wouldn't fare well for him because it would be intriguing to see
Mhm.
what that exactly would look like. Maybe you could bring back, I'm trying to think about Muhammad Ali,
Oh, that'd be interesting.
like peak Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
Jay Reinegade said
How-
he'd like to see Mike Tyson
Yeah,
box again. I
How
mean, there's
about
no heavyweights now.
just from a
Is Mike Tyson
physical.
dead?
Yeah.
no, but young Mike Tyson.
Oh, okay. I was like,
How
I was
about
like, did I miss something?
From a physical standpoint, I don't know if you have to bring back the personality. What about Ty Cobb?
Oh, yeah, the personality part. Like,
Yeah.
do they come with personality? These
Yeah, that-
clones?
yeah.
Do they come
But,
back?
because he was a guy, he stole 894 bases. He hit 367. I wonder. I'd just be intrigued to see how he would fare because he wasn't the big home run hitter
Yeah.
like Ruth. He didn't use the giant bat. I'd be intrigued to see how Ty Cobb in his prime would fare in today's sport.
Is Jim Brown the undeniable
Here's-
best answer for the NFL?
No, it's not.
Oh, really?
Because Jim Brown, when he was playing, was 235 pounds. So were the guards that were blocking for him. He was his biggest guard. So think about now, a guard weighing 335. Think about a running back that weighs 335 that could run like in this day and age, a 4.40. So Jim Brown in this day and age, he might be good, but he's probably going to be just a guy.
What about Bob Gibson?
Bob Gibson. Well,
Peak
Yes,
Bob
that's a guy.
Gibson.
Peak Bob Gibson,
Oof.
fastball slider.
And then see how
Mhm.
what he would do if a manager tried to take him out like early.
Right. Yeah, guy who threw 304 innings. Would they let him?
Guy pimps a
No.
home run, flips his bat in the air, and Bob just takes 2 steps off like, I'm going to murder you now.
Yeah, that'd be really interesting.
I'm going to give you a 2-piece in the baseline, and you're not going to get back up, buddy.
Yeah.
Jesse Owens is another comment that I saw.
Yeah, he was a difference maker. Just a ton of athletic ability. Jim Thorpe, a ton of athletic ability. I'd be interested to see how a guy like Jim Thorpe, who is for many years considered the greatest athlete of all time, would stack up against the athletes of today.
Jeff Katubi says Bo Jackson.
He's still alive.
clone-
I'm not
He's still
cloning
alive.
live
Bo,
guys.
you don't need to be dead. We're talking about cloning the prime era.
Okay.
I was
and
going
then
with
do an era.
dead because
No,
of Direwolves were
it's
extinct.
easier back then, but I think any idea of this exercise is just take a player from their era and put them in this era. Are they even better? And I think I think that's why I was thinking Jim Brown, because he was so dominant then. We saw this year in the NFL, teams freaked out. We're like, oh my God, we can't stop teams from running the ball.
Mhm.
We got to get middle linebackers again. We got to get nose tackles again. We got to get a safety who can step into the box again. We can't just have our outside linebackers be safeties for hybrids anymore. So I feel like Jim Brown would just absolutely tear these soft boxes apart in the NFL.
It would be
nowadays.
it'd be fun to see. How about this one? How about Roberto Clemente? Because then you'd have the best arm in history in right, the best arm in history in left,
Oh God.
with Clemente and Tommy Pham.
Deion
wrong?
Primetime Sanders. But here's my thing with
I
Deion.
like how he just pivots away.
Here's my
from-
thing
I
with Deion.
can't
That's
with
what
you.
you got- that's what you
I can't with you.
Here's my thing with Deion. In today's day and age,
Kill me.
in today's day and age, do teams find a way to expose the fact that he refused to be attacked?
Yes, they do.
And that's what I wonder about Deion. It's like, I think teams would just, especially like they'd run jet sweeps with their wide receivers over to that side and say, okay, Deion, open field tackles. What are you going to do there, champ?
It would be fun to see him try to cover Tyreek Hill.
God, it would be though.
Sorry, I brought that up.
He got into some trouble yesterday, huh?
Yeah, but no charges found. So all is well. But like, how would he?
The chat,
But all is well.
I thought the chat was gonna have some fun with this conversation. Just the biggest group of Debbie Downers I've ever seen.
What do we got?
They're all just everyone's nerding out. Trenton Weber's angry about how we shouldn't clone dinosaurs. Have fun with the.
I
engage
want
in
to
the
clone
exercise.
dinosaurs. Don't you?
No,
Why?
because you see what happens in Jurassic World.
Well, you just don't be dumb.
What happened?
They turn into like monsters.
Well, okay,
They are
but again,
monsters. They
you
eat
don't
grass.
You don't give
Not
the,
all of
You
them.
don't give the dinosaur DNA, chameleon DNA, so that it can turn invisible. This is pretty easy stuff. You know,
There's literally movies why cloning dinosaurs are not a great idea.
we're not cloning
Yeah.
Literally
dinosaurs.
movies.
Although at the same time,
Those are called
cloning-
documentaries.
Cloning 250-pound wolves, also not the smartest thing in the world.
No, yeah.
Sean of
'Cause
St.
what do you do with
Losersville.
them?
Let's clone winning era Cardinals baseball.
Oh, that'd be nice.
Is Stan the best old Cardinal, or is Bob Gibson the best old Cardinal to bring into like the new era and expect him to dominate?
I think it'd be Gibby.
It'd be Gibby, yeah.
Mm-hmm. One of the things, so Stan retired in 1963. Here's the thing. Stan Musial never had to face a sweeper.
Yeah. But wait, he had to face a lot of sliders, though.
That's true. But even the slider didn't come into
But
vogue
the
really until
sweep-
the 50s. And think about now. How many 100-mile-an-hour fastballs did Stan Musial have to see?
I would assume
There's a lot of
like,
people who
Yeah,
argue
not
though,
many.
that
none.
it's not
I
about
mean, like-
speed, though.
Hmm?
It's not about speed, though. Like a lot of people
Well, but-
maintain that guys like Musial just would have adjusted and would have been fine catching up to 100 because it's all about movement.
But I don't know if the reaction time, if the quick twitch, I just don't know. I'm
Yeah,
not saying they
That's
can't.
fair.
If that existed as much in the 50s and 60s as it does today.
Another, maybe one of the easiest answers to this has to be Pistol Pete Maravich.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt.
Because you bring him in today's game,
Yeah.
he probably gets exposed to the defender, probably not very, quick with his feet,
Mhm.
but just the shooting.
Yeah, he's Steph Curry.
And you give him now an extra point for every make. It's going to be fascinating. Curry's a better defender than Pistol Pete Maravich ever would have been.
Well, but Pete would have. I mean, if Steve Kerr would have coached Pistol Pete, he would have been a better defensive player. Did you see Steve Kerr the other night with Hield and Curry? By the way,
what do you do? Not just
Buddy Hield wasn't passing to Steph Curry. They get in the huddle, and the huddle is mic'd, and Steve Kerr says, "Buddy Hield, Steph Curry, Steph, Buddy Hield, Buddy. This is one of the greatest shooters in the history of the game." Because Hield wasn't he wasn't passing to Curry.
Oh my
so he
God.
introduced him.
I love that.
That's amazing.
It's great. Let's see.
Buddy Hield is a dead-eye shooter. I mean, if there's going to be anybody who's not gonna let Steph shoot, I'll take a guy who has like one of the highest career 3-point percentages in NBA history. In college basketball, to Wilson's point, I think Buddy Hield is like legitimately a top like 25 player in basketball history.
Wow.
By the way, Eric Cleveland, to answer your question.
I mean, in terms of shooting percentage.
So Eric Cleveland asked, which wife accused Tyreek? Number 20. So he has only one wife, but the baby mamas.
They're out there.
They're up there.
I knew somebody was going to answer this. Chad Harrington, MJ without the hand check.
God, that would be, honestly, that'd be great if we could do that so we could end these debates maybe about who the greatest ever is.
I do want to say something about that.
Okay.
I was watching a Chicago Bulls game from 1993 the other day, and caught a lot of fouls on hand checking in that game. Like guys would put their hand on Mike's hip. 2 shots. And I thought that was a little odd considering the narrative of the hand
that
check.
LeBron gets like a lot more of
the entire narrative is that NBA players suck now because they don't have to fight through hand checks.
Yeah.
And yet I'm watching a video where they're like literally just setting their hand on Mike's hip. He's not even like backing down into it. They're not changing Mike's position at all with the hand check, and he's getting immediate whistles on it. The narrative seems a little weak.
Who do you think is better, MJ or LeBron? But look at us being like ESPN right now. We'll
Yeah,
do like
well,
2-hour segments on this.
I think LeBron obviously is a greater physical specimen. I mean, he's 6'8" and 265.
Yeah.
But in terms of having the ability to mentally will his team to victory, it's Jordan by 10 miles.
If you could combine them, then that would be.
Yeah. There's very few athletes that combine that competitive will and desire with the skill set like Michael did, like Tiger in his prime did. There's a few people that have the combination of skill and will, and Michael had it.
I don't have any ill will towards LeBron, but I think I always will go with Michael Jordan in this situation.
I think that's smart.
I think that's the way that I always go. I don't know if you saw LeBron's interview with Pat McAfee too. That was interesting. Did you guys see that where he was talking about all the Stephen A stuff, but then he was asked about MJ and he said they don't have any conversations because of how competitive MJ is, that maybe they'll be able to talk more after LeBron retires.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
I think that's pretty cool.
I think it seems like MJ just kind of likes to talk to nobody.
Yeah.
Like he likes doing his own thing. This one comes from something Ninja 420F. Interesting. If we could have a 30-year-old Yachty on the Cardinals forever, it would be a contender for an eternity.
We would. That's what we need.
Well, his son's coming up, isn't he?
Yeah, he's in high school in Austin or something like that.
About to be going to Texas, hopefully, the University of Texas.
Yep, that's what they want to do. So I think that's a great idea, don't you?
Yeah, I think so. Just have another Molina in waiting.
Yeah. Do we have anything else that we need to do here, Matthew?
No, I don't think so.
We've done it.
Yeah,
done an incredible show.
It's been an amazing show, and we couldn't have done it without you. Thank you so much for being a part of it. You guys are the best. You're the reason that we come in here every day and do this pet podcast, which I term when we promote it on the socials on Brooke A. Grimsley at x.com. I say it's the best show in the world.
It is. Oh, that's so sweet, Randy.
Yeah, greatest show in the world. Matthew, anything you need to add here? I'm trying to find this.
He's determined to find.
Oh, here we. I found it.
I got.
Okay, what do you got?
He's been searching.
I was just gonna say, if you are a Billikens fan, do yourself a favor, subscribe to Stu Durando's Substack, because if you are interested at all in what's going on right now with the Billikens, you got to be following Stu. He's unbelievable at his job, and the article he put out yesterday about Kellen Thames, who's trying to fight through his medical issue, and Josh Schertz was saying one way or another he will be part of our program next year.
Oh, good.
That was a fascinating piece, but I think even more so today, if you are a Billikens fan, or heck, if you're a college basketball fan and you're wondering about how the heck the sport works now because of all this money, Stu did a great piece breaking down the realities of the money available to Josh Schertz and how when he got here last year, the money wasn't really there yet, and they had to go fundraise, and they were able to get the money that they expected to have, but it wasn't there when he got here. And this year, he knew that they were going to have the money, and SLU is prepared to back up the money. They're going to opt into the revenue sharing, and so that players are getting money from the freshmen all the way through Robbie Avila. It was really just a great breakdown, not just of the Billikens, but kind of how college basketball economy is working, and you're getting it from a local view, and I thought that was fantastic.
Okay, cool, good. Check it out. No doubt about it.
Yes.
Brooke, did you have fun today?
Of course.
Good. Matthew, great job as always. It's our audio video engineer and producer, Matthew Rocchio. I just sent you the email of the.
Are you trolling me through email right now?
No, if you want to, if you have a minute, can you put that up in a minute?
I cannot get it up in a minute.
Okay, we'll do it.
What
tomorrow.
is this?
It's the Steve Kerr thing that I was telling you guys about.
Oh, okay. For us to see.
Yeah.
We'll play it tomorrow.
We'll play it tomorrow.
Okay, it's fun stuff. So we've already got content for tomorrow. Bernie Miklas is going to be with us. Steve Kerr is going to be on the show. Is
I
Bernie?
think we're also going to be having Jacob Stanek, who does Blues coverage here on Sports
Oh,
on STL.
very nice.
I think he's going to be joining us live from the Frozen Four tomorrow as well.
Beautiful thing.
Cool.
Okay,
Fun stuff.
we'll do that. So join us tomorrow at 10 a.m. And don't forget to be with us for everything that we've got going on. Stay abreast of what's happening at Sports Hub STL. And we will see you tomorrow morning, Friday morning at 10. Until then, have a great Friday Eve, everyone.